8:30 or what would be the time?
It's
8:30.
7:30 here, Pastor.
7:30. Oh, that's a good time for.
Yes, Pastor.
So we continue this time. It's a good time here. It's a good time there. And I have a retreat with a German group, which is finishing on Sunday. So I think it should be all right. If there are any problems, and then I call you on Saturday and we postpone to 3 o'clock. But
Okay.
we will definitely do it because otherwise too much break.
Yes, Pastor.
So our friend Agus has suggested I refer sometime, not always, to the Hakeda. There are several translations. The only translation I have is Hakeda.
Yes, Pastor.
The American Japanese scholar who is a kind of a philosopher, and he tends to use a very philosophical language, which is sometimes confusing. Because he is very familiar with probably with Western philosophy. So he's using a lot of terms in which sometimes not necessary. So I use a very simple translations, which is more literal, as far as it can make sense. And as you know, in Chinese is very abstract language, and we can explain the classical text in many, many different ways. Besides, to remind you, there are two translations of this text. One is which I am using and which Mr. Hakeda is using, is from the Genti, Paramartha. And this translation is kind of a standard. Then the very famous Japanese scholar Daisetsu Suzuki, who had a great contribution for propagating Zen in America. So many of the practitioners of Zen, or until now, they are under his influence. He is also kind of a philosopher. So sometimes he makes things a little complicated using the complicated language. His translation is from the other translator, Shikshananda, who is also from Tang Dynasty, a little later. The Genti, the Paramartha is, I think, before Xuanzang, and Shikshananda is after Xuanzang. And the Xuanzang is in between, and Xuanzang is said to be, according to some sources, the one who retranslated the text into Sanskrit, which was already, so to say, forgotten in China. But it also may mean simply that this text was originally Chinese written, which is more likely, and then he translated it into Sanskrit and it got lost. Now, this is the opinion of most of the scholars. This text is the product of a Chinese genius, and that's why it found such popularity in China. And it is unknown in Tibet. So we have finished now. Are we recording again? Let us now come to the recording.
Already recorded.
Everything is ready?
Yes, already record.
Okay. So last time we have covered the 4 stages by which we attain realization. These 4 stages, they kind of should not be taken very literally, but they symbolize the development from, so to say, from end, that is the condition of the separate beings who still believe that we are something else than others. And because we believe that we are separate from others, Prithagjana means literally that. So we get involved so much in the labyrinth of our thoughts, and we do not see the paradise of our heart, which is the aim of, in fact, of every true religion, to realize the truth inside of us. So this truth inside of us, in this non-dualistic tradition, especially in the present non-dualistic tradition, which is based on the Tathagata Garbha, on the natural Buddhahood in all sentient beings. In this Chinese tradition, this natural Buddhahood in all sentient beings is called Zhenru, and this Rulai Zhang, that means the Tathagata Garbha, and Zhenru, which means the suchness, they are synonym. And in this non-dualistic tradition, this is very important. This suchness is synonym with the true nature of the mind. In all Mahayana traditions, suchness is the true nature of the mind, which is non-dualistic. It is the dualism by which we experience ourselves and the world through ourselves, is, so to say, product of the mind itself. And what is the natural Buddhahood in us? We have to ask, we have to find, we have to investigate by reading, by contemplation, and by meditation. According to this tradition, which is also the tradition of Zen and tradition of the Tibetan Buddhism, and also all the, so to say, the living traditions of Chinese Buddhism, Huayan, Tiantai. This, our nature, our true nature, is nothing else but our awareness. Awareness is the natural state of the true mind. The true mind is always aware. As you know, this awareness, this Rulai Zhang, in this treatise we have learned, is one mind. It is one mind because it is, so to say, no matter whether we are human beings or we are others, it is the very nature of mind. We can contemplate anything, we can think anything, because we have this true nature of the mind, which is awareness. But in us, beings, even when we become enlightened, as we have seen in the text, even as Prithajanas, as ordinary beings who have not yet any realization, even if we become the Shravakas, the disciples who have the direct realization of nirvana in this tradition, in a dualistic way, as something different from samsara, or beginning bodhisattva who is not yet established in non-dual realization, but who has a firm belief that it is the truth. This is all based on thinking. And so the realization through the mind which is thinking is not a true realization. Even the bodhisattva who has realized who has a non-dual realization, he is still not free from thinking. The Arahat is also not free from thinking. The realized bodhisattva is still not free from thinking. In this tradition, only the fully realized Buddha is free from thinking, but it does not mean, this is a paradox, very difficult to explain. It does not mean that he negates thinking. No, our text explains he sees non-thinking in thinking and thinking in non-thinking. Why? Because, very important, he is always connected with this own nature of the mind, which is awareness. He never leaves awareness. Because he never leaves awareness, so eventually he does not need to think. The awareness observes the awareness. So thinking is non-thinking, and non-thinking is thinking. Why? Because in the state of Buddha, according to the Mahayana tradition, is beyond attention. Attention, as we know in Chinese, in Sanskrit, same, means making object in the mind. Manasikara, zuo yi. The Buddha does not need to make an object in the mind because all objects are objects of awareness. And awareness is the true nature of the mind. When we are the ordinary beings, we don't see this true nature of the man. So as the text explains, so we stop thinking. But the one who stops thinking is someone who identifies himself with the I think, therefore I am. But actually, there is not, in all Buddhist traditions, there is not there is process of thinking, but there is no true thinker. But that, when we stop the evil thinking, it is beginning of the way to enlightenment, which is in this tradition called Shi Jie. We have learned. Shi Jie means a process of getting enlightened, and the process of getting enlightened, we have explained, is a process of coming to the beginning. And the beginning is this awareness. This is a beginning. Because it is a true nature of the mind. But we don't see it as such because we have the obstacle of raga, of attachment, obstacle of the views, which are based on ignorance. So we don't see what actually we are, what is called the Jen Shin, the true mind. We don't see the true mind. We don't see that the very nature of our thinking is awareness. We separate thinking from this awareness, which is the nature of the mind. Now, when we realize nirvana, what happens? This our thinking we don't take very seriously, because we know that there is something beyond thinking, which is the experience of which is much more powerful in transforming our mind than experience of thinking. So we experience something which is beyond thinking. When we experience something beyond thinking, we think, but we do not cling to thinking. And we still attach to thinking. Because our perception means holding the image in the mind, is based on our habits. The vasanas, very wonderful word, shuchi. We are conditioned by our habituated thinking, our habits of make arising images in the mind. So when we realize the non-dual realization, then we realize, as the Diamond Sutra explains, we realize we give rise to the mind without letting it dwell anywhere. This is a bodhisattva realization. So it destroys the boundaries between the inner and the outer. There is no more inner, there is no more outer. Everything is, so to say, the one whole. But in this one whole, we still have the habits of the paying attention to the images in the mind according to our habits. So we are not free from attachment to thinking. Even a bodhisattva is still not completely free from attachment to thinking. Therefore, his realization is called sui fan jue. It is a partial realization, which is deepened in each and every stage of the bodhisattva bhumis, until we come to the beginning. And coming to the beginning is called in this treatise Jiu Jin Jue. That means the ultimate realization. Ultimate realization is based on Shijie, which means process of realization. Process of realization is coming to the beginning. So what is very important? We should read this treatise. It is very dense again and again. We have the concept of Panchue, very important in all Mahayana tradition. The root enlightenment. If there was not a root enlightenment, as the Mahayana scriptures say, if the nature of the mind was not nirvana, says the Srimala Sutra, Queen Sutra, there would be no any point in meditation and in all good practices we make to purify the mind if if the very nature of the mind was not nirvana. So the true practice is a process of getting the enlightenment, which is a process of Shijie, which means going back to the beginning. And because we have Panjue, we have this original enlightenment, which is the nature of the mind, which is the natural awareness of the mind, which we human beings are privileged to, so to say, to contemplate, because we are not completely governed by our instincts, like most of the animals. So only the gods and the humans, they have the privilege of contemplating this awareness as being the very nature of the mind. When we understand this, so we also understand, when we understand Panjue, the original awakening, we also understand what the text calls Pujue. We are not enlightened. Why we are not enlightened? Because we have Panjue. The enlightenment is the very nature of the mind. When we see that we lack something, that we are not complete, so we also understand Pujue. We understand, when we understand Pujue, we are not enlightened. We understand enlightenment. When we understand enlightenment, we understand that we are non-enlightened. Very wonderful explanation of the dependent origination, which is everything we realize in the world. So our Panjue is the cause of Pujue. Our original enlightenment is the cause of our understanding we are not enlightened. And because we understand we are not enlightened, we enter the process of enlightening oneself and the world, because they are inseparable in the true awareness. Inner and outer cannot be separated in the true awareness, in the true mind. So what happens? So because we use proper practice, proper means, then we return back to the true original nature of our mind, which is enlightenment, which is awareness. So these are the terms very often used in especially in the Zen tradition, in also in the Dzogchen tradition, maybe explained a little different way. But emphasis is that we beings, we are inseparable from Buddhas. We were never separable from Buddhas, but we are not aware of it because we don't understand the original nature of the mind, which is indeed enlightenment. And this enlightenment contains all that we experience. But because of our habits of taking these images in the mind and not that images in the mind, this habit of mind getting involved in the will which is necessary for attention, the mental process starts with the will. This is very important to understand. So as the Chinese Tiantai tradition explains, we have to always contemplate Se Yun. Se Yun means we have to understand the situation before we start thinking. then we have to understand we start thinking because we have desire. Because we have desire, we pay attention. We make object in the mind. That is manasikara. We make object in the mind. If we have mindfulness and awareness, we make it consciously. If we don't have mindfulness and awareness, we are just simply victims of our uncontrolled habits, which usually bring us into the unfavorable conditions of the mind. So first, we have to understand there has to be a situation before the mind arises. Then there is a desire which makes the mind arise. The mind cannot arise without will. And when there is a will, there is attention to the object, which the Buddha does not have. Attention to the object as something separate from the other objects. That's why the process of enlightenment in this tradition, especially in the Chittamatata tradition, Vaishu tradition, in the mere mind tradition, the alaya has to be transformed. We will come to that little later in our text. Alaya has to be transformed into the wisdom of the big mirror. Alaya, we have learned, is the consciousness in which the good habits and bad habits meet together. And these good habits lead us to the true nature of the mind. Bad habits bring us away from the true nature of the mind. So in this alaya consciousness, according to the text we have learned, the true consciousness, which is awareness that does not move, that is the true nature of the mind, and the impermanent mind, which always moves, they exist together in alaya. That is called the combined consciousness, which contains everything. This combined consciousness in the Theravada tradition, we have explained, is called the cause of existence. Cause of existence is continuity. And the alaya, same as bhavanga, the cause of existence, they explain the continuity. Continuity is existence. We exist because we have continuity. Now, when we become the perfect Buddhas, this continuity is, so to say, a complete illusion. It does not really exist. Because there is no individual which continues, and there are no the dharmas which continue. So as our text has pointed, first we stop, then we contemplate impermanence in order to realize that which is beyond impermanence. Then when we realize that which is beyond impermanence, then we contemplate that as something separate from impermanence. That is the practice of the disciples. Then we only, when we have non-dual realization, we only contemplate that which does not move as being the true, that which moves is not true. And then when we have this realization and we deepen it, so that we break the moving mind. This is the state of Arahat, or the state of the eighth bhumi of Bodhisattva. Then eventually this individual mind, the manas, has no place, no continuity. So we come back to the beginning. The individual mind, manas, has no continuity. Broken. Continuity is broken. So what remains is this pure awareness which was there in the very beginning. We did not find anything which was not there, but we were, this emphasis changes, we were the ignorant about the true state, which is a true state of all beings. All beings in a non-dualistic tradition cannot be separated from all the Buddhas. That's why all the Buddhas, they are in all those wonderful lands where there is no place for individuality. In those places, indeed, the mind very easily attains the realization. So in order to transform mind into the original awareness, the Mahayana is using the idea of the pure land. This is common to all bodhisattva practice. And then it is the only difference with the tantric practice is that the skillful means for this realization of the pure land of the mind become very extensive. All means can be used because the means only lead to the aim, which is the same. So when we attain the ultimate body, we come back to the beginning, and then all the means are fulfilled. That means all the, for the bodhisattva, all the paramis, all the perfections become complete, and all the means become complete, all the powers become complete, all the vows become complete, all the skillful means become complete. And this is how the wisdom becomes complete, due to the great transcendental, we can say, but it is not transcendental in the sense of going above the world. It still remains in the world. Then becomes the true awareness. True awareness is true wisdom, and true awareness is from the very beginning free from clinging to differentiations whatsoever. On the other hand, it can use differentiations to transform the mind. This is the idea of the Mahayana practice, transforming in the Yogacara tradition. This text is connected with the Yogacara tradition. in the tradition of mere consciousness, we have not just 6 consciousnesses, we have 8 consciousnesses. And these 8 consciousnesses are transformed into 4 kinds of wisdom, because we have alaya consciousness, which is transformed into the great mirror wisdom. We have the manas individualizing consciousness, which is transformed to the sameness. We will come to this in this text very soon. The sameness wisdom. Then we have the mental consciousness, the 6th consciousness, which is transformed to the wisdom of a wonderful vision. And we have the 5 consciousnesses, 5 sense consciousnesses, which are transformed to the wisdom of succeeding in whatever we do, in making perfect whatever we do. So all these wisdoms, they are based on the actually the alaya wisdom, the wisdom of great mirror, through which the true nature of the mind is realized. The true nature of the mind means that this continuity is actually an illusion. So if we realize that this continuity is an illusion, so this is especially emphasized in the Chinese like Hawaiian tradition, then the realization of the principle of this natural awareness and the understanding of what we see with this worldly awareness, they come to, they are the same realization. So the karma images are broken. When we attain the ultimate realization, the karma images are broken. The karma consciousness is broken. And this our subjective consciousness, that means the seer, which produces the seen, they also automatically become broken. When the karmic consciousness is broken, then the continuity of the seer and the seen is also broken. So what remains is the pure awareness. In this pure awareness, this is unthinkable state in which things arise, but the arising is not real. The things cease, but the cessation is not real. So because of this, we come to the beginning, which is the natural awareness. In this natural awareness, all objects become the objects of non-dualistic wisdom, non-dualistic clear awareness. The text says, because of these ideas we have explained, which lead to all these skillful means to lead us to the ultimate realization. This Mr. Hakena, if I remember well, is of the opinion that this process we have explained from the 4 stages, from cessation, from stopping, to impermanence, to dwelling, and to the ultimate realization, which is the beginning, as no beginning, coming to the beginning as no beginning, to end as no end. This realization from end to the beginning, Mr. Hakeda thinks it is very unique for this book, and it has influenced a lot the later Chinese Buddhism. So especially the Tiantai tradition. And because of this understanding, the text says, therefore, the sutra explains, if a being can observe no thought, wu nian, we have to remember wu nian means no thinking, but it also means no remembering. This is very important. No thinking means no remembering. So, therefore, Sutra explains if a being can observe no thought, he proceeds towards Buddha wisdom. In the Sadharma Pundarika, in the Lotus Sutra, we have this simile of son of a very, very wealthy, incredibly wealthy man who does not believe that he has such a wealth. So he goes around and does all kinds of things, not knowing that actually he is very wealthy. So when he does not succeed and he experiences all kinds of misery, then he comes back to his father, and his father then saws, if I remember well, a jewel into his cloth, and slowly leads him to the realization that from the very beginning he is very rich. He does not need to search for riches. This is a very beautiful simile. So this these riches actually are here compared to real understanding. Real understanding is that we have the jewel in the mind, which is natural awareness, and we are just messing around, not seeing this natural awareness, and we are like spiders. This is a simile which comes, I think, also from the Lankavatara Sutra. We are like spiders, or like this silkworm, who just goes on, producing more and more impenetrable web around his being. But all this web of the spider's web is a web of illusion. And when we penetrate this web of illusion, it is said, then we can practice the samadhi of one moment, yi nian san mei. And by the samadhi of yi nian or yi xing, of one samsara, we can come back to our natural state. So by samadhi of one thought or one samskara, because a thought creates all samskaras, there is no samskara without a thought. Nothing can be produced, nothing can be fabricated, nothing can be put together without a thought. So a bodhisattva, a real bodhisattva, not like me, should practice the samadhi of one thought to realize no thought. So this brings us again to this realization of the great essence, which is connected with great manifestations and great use, which we had in the beginning, or great kriya function, which we had in the beginning of this treatise. The great essence is a Buddha because it penetrates everywhere. The great manifestations are the virtues of the Buddha. And the great use is the Sangha, which, so to say, make us ignorant beings aware of these incredible virtues of the Buddha essence, which penetrates everything, inside, outside, without differentiation. This is the non-dual realization. So the true realization is not stop thinking. This is a very naive idea, which is accordingly exactly the opposite what the author of this treatise, Ashwagosha, or whoever it may be, wanted. The real point of practice is to realize no thinking in thinking and thinking in no thinking. So this is the Pukhasai, the unthinkable true nature of the mind, of the awareness which observes the original awareness. And this awareness which observes the original awareness, it has to be based on mindfulness. But here the mindfulness implies the faith in the true nature of the mind. This is the Mahayanistic mindfulness. So that is why when we study the Mahayana, we do the prostrations to the Buddha. Especially in Tibetan Buddhism, we do the 100,000 prostrations, then the 100,000 mantras of Vajrasattva to purify the mind, then the mandala practice 100,000 times to see that there is no difference between inside and outside, that everything comes from the mind, and so on. Then the Guru Yoga, all these practices, they have the only one purpose, to bring the awareness, which is the product of mindfulness, still connected with the, so to say, with non-realized mind, to bring us to the realized mind, which just observe the awareness of the as a true nature of the mind. So the emphasis in mindfulness is rather not mindfulness in terms of separation, but the separation is for the purpose of uniting on the base of this original awareness. And it does not mean that the separation is different from this original awareness. It is neither different nor the same. So in the Zen tradition, for those of us who have learned Zen, I have a little experience in that. So we realize the illusionary nature of the thought by coming to the beginning of the thought. That is Huato. That is Kung An, Koan. To understand that the original nature of the thought is actually no thought. It is this incredible state of neither this nor that, the unthinkable state. So we practice what is the bodhisattva practice? The giving rise to the mind without desiring. Our text explains. It says, when one speaks of beginning, that means object or a picture, it is said to be no thought. I just use my translation, which is maybe a little more literal than Mr. Hakeda. So therefore, all beings, very in the Visuddhimagga, very wonderful. They derive, of course, it is not the etymological very much, but in Pali, the word for being is satta, and it not sattva but satta, and it is derived from the Pali root sach, which means also similar in Sanskrit, which means to cling. We are beings because we cling. So the Buddha does not cling, so he is a being no being. So we beings, the text says, we are not called body, we are not enlightenment, because we are sattas. We are still clinging. Clinging to what? When we cling to objects, actually, we cling to our mind, because there are no objects without the mind creating pictures in the mind itself. When we create pictures in the mind itself as something different from the mind, then we give, so to say, rise to what we believe to be a true process of thought, which then is a separation between the subject and the object, which never really existed as such. So all beings are not called bodhi, we are not called enlightenment, because we are from time without beginning, that is originally, of course. We are but continuity of thought. We are nothing but the continuity of thought. And in this continuity of thought, we then identify the continuity of the self and the continuity of the phenomena which the self perceives. So there has to be a picture, and there has to be the one who sees the picture. When there is a picture and one who sees the picture, no matter what kind of picture, through which sense we perceive the picture, then we give rise to the process of thinking. But this process of thinking is based on the pictures which do not, never were and never will be separated from the mind itself. So this continuity of the mind, which mind? The individual mind, individualizing mind, the manas, the seventh consciousness, is a complete illusion. And realizing it how? Realizing it is that see the arising of the mind as non-arising. We have explained, like we have to see the beginning of arising, then which is non-arising, then the wish to arise. According to the wish to arise, we have the sort of process. We have the processing, the pictures of the mind, and then the mind returns again to the first state from which it has arisen. So these are the so-called, in Chinese tradition, the four transformations of the mind, which are illusionary. From the point of, they are not illusionary from the point of the impermanent mind, but they are absolutely illusionary from the point of what Lankavatara calls a true mind. But this true mind produces the karmic mind, or the karmic pictures. And through these karmic pictures, we then experience the seer and the seen. So this process is called in our text, we will come to it, the three subtle states of mind which we usually don't see. When we become realized bodhisattvas, we can actually see them, but we don't see them. Then we come to the six, our text explains, we will come to them, the six gross forms of the mind. But all these forms of the mind, they appear, we have learned, just in one mind. They are not different from the one mind, from the nature of the mind, which was from the beginning the original awareness, the original enlightenment. They are not different from that. It is our karmic mind which actually starts the process of believing in the reality of this differentiation. When we become the Buddhas, we have tipped, cut off these images of the karmic mind. But now we, the practice here in this tradition, which is so deeply connected with Zen or with the Mahamudra and so on, we actually meditate all the time on the illusionary nature of the mind which moves, which is not true mind, Genshin, which is the mind based on the Yexiang, on the images, karmic images appearing in the mind. These karmic images are similar or can be very, very different according to individual and according to the 6 states of existence, which makes them very, very different. So, as Vasubandhu explains, the same river is seen as the river of light. We see it as a river. The fish sees it in a different as a boat, and the animals see it as the source of nutrition, life. Everybody sees it in according to his karmic images based on the concepts, and the concepts are the products of our karmic images. So as long as we have a xiang, we have a nimitta here, would be best translation. As long as we have the object in the mind, in the form of a picture, which we see as something real. So we are in the state of ignorance. And we are practicing in this tradition the samadhi of one mind, one memory, one samskara, in order to realize that this arising of the mind is not real. When we realize that the arising of the mind is not real, we come back to the original nature of the mind, which is without arising, which is pure awareness. So the simile is, when we awaken from the dream, we awaken with the same mind, but we see the dream as something not real. But we still are in the same mind which was dreaming, or which was before dreaming. It is still the same mind. It is not a different mind. From the point of view of this true nature of the mind, which is awareness. From the point of view of awareness, this dreaming mind and the what we experience now and the awakened mind, they are just one mind. So the text starts with the assertion that the Dharma is the one mind, and one mind is the mind of all the beings, without exception. So we have to realize that this thinking has no beginning, and that which has no beginning we cannot grasp. If we grasp it, we will be frustrated. And that which has no beginning also has no end. And this no beginning and no end is the very nature of the mind of beings. This is a realization. So next time we will analyze a little more. Now we have been thinking in terms of the process of realization from the end to the beginning, then we have to go to the end. And in order to go from beginning to the end, we have to understand how this process of enlightenment appears, and how this process of enlightenment is based on the Panchya, which was always there. So next time we will explain the Panjie, the aspect of the original enlightenment, which is always with us, but it exists in the state of impurity in us. Even when we become enlightened, the text explains, still its purity will not be completely removed until we come we become one with the pure awareness. But this is paradoxically our natural state. So we have to realize the illusionary nature of our thinking mind. In Zen, we use Huato, we use the Kung An, we use just sitting, or the silent illumination. All these are just methods to realize the illusionary nature of thinking and come back to the true nature of our mind, which is free from thinking. In fact, the tantric tradition uses exactly the same understanding, only the methods are different. That's the only difference. But the understanding is precisely what this Ashwagosha, or whoever may be the author of this treatise, points out. It is the samadhi of one samskara, samadhi of one mind, samadhi of one memory or one mindfulness. And this brings us to the realization that as far as the true nature of mind is concerned, thinking and non-thinking are not different. So the death and the life is also not different. So that much for now. Let us continue next week. I hope slowly we will come to better understanding and we can apply it somehow to our practice. The hearing determines how we contemplate, and how we contemplate determines how we practice. And in this tradition, the practice is simple, but not easy. What is simple is not easy. And that is transforming our mind into wisdom, which is the very nature of the mind as awareness, the non-choosing awareness. But this non-choosing awareness does not mean it suppresses the thinking mind, but it makes the thinking mind and the non-thinking mind one reality. This is the very nature of thinking from the very beginning. This is what is to be realized by all different means. Okay, so let us finish here for today. If we have any questions, we leave it for next week, or shall we do now? We have already surpassed 1 hour and a half. So let us do the questions next week, okay? Oh, I see the Supriya has come also. Namaste. So let us do the transference of merit, and we continue next week. Okay? Everybody agrees? 愿以此功德，不计一切，莫等一众生，皆空成佛道。May the merits of this practice spread to all beings, so that we attain the state of perfect realization. So we learn more what the perfect realization is and how to achieve it. And let us hope it can transform our ignorant mind into more light. We can always hope. Okay.